Welcome back to another episode of Trench Talk, and today we're joined by LSU Tiger Austin Deculus. Again, man, thanks a lot for coming on today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course.
This is one of my first Zoom interviews, so can't wait to see what goes on. So
Yeah. So the interesting thing to start is, right before this call today, Austin was coming just from his O-line meetings through Zoom with LSU, and I was actually really curious about that because I wanted to know if, college football was treating it the exact same way the NFL is. So are you guys all off site right now just purely through Zoom, or is it a little actually easier for you guys because some of you are still on campus?
Actually, we had to return back this past Monday.
Okay.
We returned back, I think it was last Monday, but we're supposed to start workouts up at football ops today, but with the tropical storm Cristobal came in, they took precautions saying that they're closing down campus and stuff, so everything got moved back a day. So we actually started team workouts tomorrow, which are going to be groups of 20.
Okay.
We're only going to be able to have groups of 20, and instead of like during the regular off season during summer, you can get close to like 30 to 40 in one group. But it's going to be limits for that. But for right now, we're doing Zoom meetings until mid-July, I believe. And then we do Zoom meetings 5 times a week, about an hour and a half with our position coaches. And then with like a normal actual like off-season, like summer workout stuff, we do weekly. We do like every Monday we have a team meeting. Like
right.
a big, huge Zoom team meeting, which is kind of fun to like see everybody like for like the past couple of months when we would have them. That's like the only time we would really see each other until like the past weeks. So I think we've been like overall as a group, like a team, and then dealing with like the position room, the O-line room, we've been taking it like really, really well. So, and like we've been getting like so much out of it, like, and then being able like to take a couple steps back and like simplify for like all the new guys coming in and like find new techniques and stuff to where it's like helps us improve our game a little bit more, help us understand like deeper into the concept. So I think the whole Zoom, I'm personally like I was a fan of Zoom meetings because it really helped like take a couple steps back to like start from square one all over again. So, and plus I've been working out like, besides when we start the workouts this coming up Monday, I just been working out here in Baton Rouge. So I haven't been home at all. I've just been staying here.
Yeah. That's actually interesting. I wonder what it's like for like, how are you able to integrate the guys that are fresh out of high school that would be coming to these right now, and they don't really get to be a part of the team in any normal way yet, by just incorporating through these Zoom meetings and stuff. Is it a difficult process trying to introduce the rookies into the program?
We didn't have a tough time at all with that because we started, I believe it was last week, we had like as a group, me and my like best friend that's also a senior, Ed Ingram, we like orchestrated some individuals, but we can't do anything on campus. We can't do anything out of a football facility.
Yeah.
So we looking up on Google Maps, trying to find out like little fields we can go to, and like little open spaces to where we can actually like go do individual and stuff, and we get all like the freshmen and newcomers coming in. To where we've been actually doing drills for about a week and a half as a whole like offensive unit, and then sometimes like because NCAA rules say you can't be on campus, and then like the whole protocols of everything, to where we can't be on campus dealing with actual individual. We can't hit a pad, but we can go off campus and actually like centers can snap a ball and we can actually work handwork and stuff like that. So with the whole freshman thing, I think we've basically the only thing we haven't done is have like a group meeting with our position coach like face to face. But we've been doing we've been adding them in on the Zoom calls and everything to where like they're not left out at all. So
yeah. So what do you think about, 'cause we're starting to get a better idea, at least at this point, of what's going to happen for the season. NFL kind of just changed. I don't know if you're paying attention, but today the NFL adjusted their training camp where they have to make sure there's hand sanitizer stations and only every second to third locker will be used to make sure everyone's 6 feet apart. And so there might be, multiple locker rooms being used. They don't really know the shower situation and stuff, but
Right.
what are your expectations for the 2020 season? I also actually forgot to mention that in Canada today, they canceled all university sports. They canceled them
Oh,
for the fall. Yeah.
hell no.
Yeah. So, what are
That's
your
not my plan
expectations for?
for this coming up season. Oh no. I mean, I hope that all this Corona and whatever people call it, Corona, COVID, I hope regardless that it's all like cleared up, because at the end of the day, like nothing's gonna be set in stone until I think our first game is September 5th.
Yeah.
To where they can say something today and then they can come out with some news or something to where it'll be completely different. We'll be hopefully back to normal or as close to normal as we could get. But I think I've heard some stuff that we're gonna be doing, because we're gonna be like amplifying those rules too, dealing with like the people in the stands can only be like 6 feet apart, which is like I think 2 seats or something.
Yeah.
And I saw something with the NFL saying that they're only allowing 25% of their like maximum capacity for NFL games.
Yep.
But like I said, you never know, because things might change to where like, okay, there's like nothing else to worry about. Just make sure you wash your hands, and then everybody can. Because I was reading some stuff up, because I always like being informed about just the common stuff that's happening daily. But they said that there wasn't any more, like there hasn't been any more deaths recorded in China, which is like the overall like the source of it, where it all started. So I mean that could be good news for everybody, because if you think about it, where the source is coming from, to where they don't have any more deaths, and like I think they're not having as many cases, but the number of deaths they don't have anymore. So it shows that there's progress being made. So like I said, I hope I know we're gonna have a season, but I just don't hope I like have to look up in the stands and it's like people all like look like they're doing it with stretching lines and stuff. So they're all be the part, because that's regard. Because I couldn't see Tiger Stadium not being packed after the season we just had. So I think that everyone will be pissed, especially in Louisiana.
Yeah, it'd be weird. I understand why they'd cancel it in Canada.
Right.
And the reality of it is American collegiate sports versus Canadian are two different animals, right? Where
I totally agree with that.
Where like realistically, the NCAA has more funding probably than the CFL, right? Our Canadian Football League. So if the CFL doesn't even know if they were going to happen yet, there was no way that it's called U Sports here, the way that U Sports was going to happen.
Right.
But, in the different way where the NFL, they're working on face shields and all these other protocols and stuff. When, the NCAA I don't know the numbers, but has similar funding where they can implement the same protocols, I'm assuming. So I understand why, that's different, especially with the fans thing though. But yeah, college football, especially when you have the student sections and stuff, and just probably not having those full is going to be a weird thing. Have you seen those face shields that were released a couple days ago? I think it was by Shut.
I have not.
No?
Talking about ones on the face mask. I think they're coming out with some like rule where we might have to wear like a kind of like a visor, but it's going to be over your mouth. So
it's literally two pieces. It's a normal visor, basically. I'm assuming they're using the same visor material because they don't need to change that. But then it's like a clear plastic insert that goes behind the bars of your face mask. The only thing I think is going to be
grills in them though. I was like slightly ventilated, because think about it, you won't be able to breathe.
Yeah, true. It'll fall.
You have something right there.
Yeah. Well, there was a guy, I don't remember who it was, but a couple of years ago in the NCAA that broke his jaw. And so he
Well,
was wearing,
oh yeah, because
you know what I'm
we
talking about?
actually, well, Foster Morrow, the tight end for the Raiders now.
Yeah.
So we were doing like seated low rows with the machines, and Coach Moffitt always tells us just to stack it, do as much weight as possible. And like we were doing like have a little competition, and like it rarely happens, but you know, like when we were doing like the seated low rows, and when he pulled it, like the line snapped and it busted him in like the lip,
Yeah.
to where like actually during, I think it was during season, he actually had to wear one on his mouth, but it had like little like circles, like it had like
Yeah. Yeah.
little
Exactly.
inlay and stuff. But that was like my first time seeing it, and then I heard about it again, and I thought right like about that, I'm like, nah, I'm like, I don't wear a visor. Period. The last time I wore a visor was the All American game
Yeah.
in high school, and I broke that the second day we had practice. So I was like, I'm like, I can't wear those.
Yeah.
I'm never a fan of those.
Well, and that's what I was thinking about was they were showing how to attach these things, and
Mm-hmm.
they were showing like Velcro straps, and I'm assuming some people might just use zip ties, but like
Yeah.
I when I first tried wearing a visor in high school, just because it was easier, I used zip ties. And my first play, I broke both zip ties off the face mask, and the visor fell out. And then it's like I learned very quickly that like, yeah, skilled position guys can use zip ties and stuff on their visors easy, but like you can't
Not
at the
lying.
line or else it's gone.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
yes,
not good at all.
yes. I don't really know how this is all going to work with like
Because chin
making
straps,
these stay on. Yeah,
because
so I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, the guys that are going to be the two closest people head to head, where they might have these, breathing on each other's stuff, are the people that are going to be most likely to have these things snap and break off anyways. So it's
right.
like, I don't know,
That's
like
yeah.
everyone's gonna be tested every week just to like add it, or
You never know.
I have no clue.
They might just move it to where they only have 7-on-7 this year. They might not even imply the big boys in this year. That would be bad. But yeah, I remember like we had like a little meeting or something like this past week talking about who's at risk and stuff, and like they were like like resist and like avoid all like contact if any. I'm like, all right, that's check one for offensive line.
Yeah.
That's. And then they said like overweight or obese people. I'm like, well, damn, y'all just trying to single out the big boys today. And then I made that joke, and everyone, like our trainer started, like we all started laughing because like it was just funny because you really think about it, like they're just singling us out. I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
I can't find up anything better than.
But yeah, I still have no idea how this year's gonna play out. The one thing I actually was watching, Mark Cuban, the owner of the Mavericks, he went on
Mm-hmm.
the Pat McAfee show last week, and what he was talking about was, so you know how they're talking about like everyone's in these bubbles, right? Where
Right.
They want to introduce people back in these bubbles that'll like slowly expand, where it's like you can go with your family in a bubble and you'll be in one row of seats together, and then there'll be basically a circle of empty seats around you, right? Because you're already all together, so they already know that you're all fine if one of you's fine,
Right.
type deal, right? And then they're saying, okay, then they'll do a couple weeks of that, and then they'll do two families, so two families that know each other really well, that have acquaintances that hang around each other. If those two families are fine, then they can go together in a game, and then it'll create this larger bubble, right? And that'll get them from 30% capacity to 45% or 50% or whatever, right?
Yeah, that's smart though.
And then they'll just basically slowly expand the bubble, assuming there's no vaccine, until they're at a point where they're comfortable with 70, 80, eventually 100%. Like who knows if they can ever get 100%. But they're basically talking about introducing it in a way that's just select families that will apply to go to the games in these small bubbles, and then two families that know each other can sit next to each other if they've been going to the games. Each family's been going for 2 weeks on their own. Then they can sit together to take a couple more seats and then introduce new people.
Right.
So yeah, again, it's super far away. NHL is talking about doing 30% for their games. I still have no idea what the NBA is going to do once they introduce in a month.
Well, I saw something. The NBA said that they're going to start up try to start up the season back on July 31st, but
Yep.
it's only going to be, I think, 22 or 20 teams
Yeah.
that they're bringing back. So I guess that's going to be like the real test about everything, to where how like the whole crowd environment and like how the athletic event's going to go down. So
Yeah.
hopefully it goes over well, to where like we can keep on like expanding and like being able like to lift the limitations we have for our
Yeah,
overall event.
exactly. Did you actually see what Deshaun Jackson said about if there can't be fans, that they should introduce live mics where everyone is mic'd up and that way the fans can hear what's being said on the field at all times?
They should. I hope they don't do that in college yet. Because that's fun. That was definitely, that would be fun though. Because I feel like
It wouldn't be allowed to be on TV because people that haven't played football don't know, right? They don't know what's actually being said on there when you can't hear it.
at all. They don't know at all. They just see lips moving and face mask shaking, and that's about it. And then they only assume what is being said. They never really know the 100% truth about it. So yeah, that would be dangerous. That would have to be like viewer discretion advised before every NFL game.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, they actually, so they did that last year in the CFL. They did a thing for a couple weeks where the quarterbacks were live mic'd all times.
Okay.
And they had to have, things that came on and said, viewer discretion advised, because it was live. They don't know what's going to be said. And it was actually pretty clean. They were able to, they probably
quarterback's not going to be too bad.
Yeah. But it was just like, it was a complete pain in the ass because every single week the teams had to change every call because the mic was still live in the huddle. So they basically be saying the plays, right? And that way, even the color commentators pre-play would be like, okay, based on what he said here, this is what's going to happen this play. Watch this guy; he's going to be the main router. Whatever was going on. So it was kind of cool from a fan perspective to see that if you want to learn more about the game, but it made it way more work for the teams. And then they stopped doing it after I think 3 weeks, just because it didn't boost really anything.
Change your playbook. That would be bad.
Every week.
That would be real bad.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
lots of experimenting. So yeah, you're actually talking earlier about wearing a visor at the Under Armour All-American, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about your time in high school. So you're still 6'6", 6'7", over 300 pounds at that point. You're a 4-star recruit, if I'm right.
Yeah, that's right. And then every night, like I really like wasn't like the whole star thing. I didn't know until like I would see like something pop up on Twitter or on YouTube or something. So, because I just like with my social media, I created my first like my Twitter account like at the All-American game. So that was like my first time like really getting on social media. And then my Instagram, I think I had like my Instagram for like a year prior. And then 2 weeks, I remember like a couple weeks before I even made my Instagram, I went on and I created my own Facebook. And I felt like I was like the coolest little kid in the world because I never knew all about the social media stuff.
Yeah.
And then it just kept on going. But yeah, I didn't really know. But yeah, I was a 4-star in high school, and then I played in the All-American game, and then I played in the opening.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was fun.
So then was it kind of like, because being from Texas, obviously football is a big deal there, but was high school still, until you got to like the opening and the All-American game, was it just a cakewalk for you through your city teams?
I would say, for the most part, I would say it was relatively easy, especially whenever you have like I went against like we didn't have any like small guys. Like we were still a 6A high school, but we went up. I would go up against like some 300-pound D tackles and stuff, but they were just big. They weren't really like as agile and as athletic as like the guys I would go against at camps. But like in high school ball, really during season, I would say it was a lot easier
Yeah.
because it was me and my old high school teammate Brock Wright, which is a tight end. He plays tight end at Notre Dame now, and he was like number 2 tight end in our class that year. I remember. But so whenever you'd always have me and him on the same side, everything was really like you would say pretty much a cakewalk whenever in
Yeah.
high school. So yeah.
So then, what was it like going against your first? Actually, okay. Before I go into that, I want to ask about, because I've seen videos and stuff of the opening on YouTube, and I watch all the clips.
Right.
What kind of experience is that, where you're actually going to a facility and they have like a store inside where you can take whatever you need, or they have a freaking barber shop inside where it's like everyone can get fresh cuts? Like
That was
that didn't exist before.
yeah, that was for real like a next level experience because like before that I've only been out of like the state maybe maybe
Yeah.
once or twice, but it was for track because I did shot put and discus. But like going to somewhere and like they said like, oh, if you need anything, like don't hesitate to ask. And then they have like the game setups. You have
Yeah.
the PS4s, the Xbox, the cornhole, the ping pong, pool tables, all you can eat food, and then
Yeah.
like, yeah, the hair. I never got a haircut at any places I went to. Then when like at the opening, they had a barber shop. At the All American game, they had barber shop. The past like bowl games we've been to,
Hmm.
I never like been in. I never got a haircut. Clearly now, because I
Yeah.
like my hair, I don't want no one to touch it because that's just me now. I love my long hair, but like before
Yeah.
that, I'll never really get to it. So I was like, when I went there, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty damn cool. But just being able to walk around like Nike headquarters is
Hmm.
like something awesome that an experience that I always be able to like look back on and say like really like after everything's been like done with football, look at my accolades, like damn, I really even in high school, like yeah, I was invited to I think it was like the last or no, it was the second to last camp they actually had at Nike headquarters because they moved it to Dallas.
Right.
They moved the opening in Dallas. So like
Yeah.
looking back at that is like lifetime experiences to where you're gonna only really experience that like once in a lifetime to where you only get that opportunity to go and like just like adventure the whole to where you could see Michael Jordan's part. They had like Shaq had his own little like each of them like there's different like buildings to where like there's different like sports and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you could see one thing that was cool. They had all like the Jordans from like the very first one to like the latest one. And then they had one like specific Jordan to where it was a projector to where you could actually like customize your own to where
Okay.
you could choose your own like how you wanted it to look. So that was probably one of the coolest things I remember about that. But it was really like a full on like kid in the candy store type of experience, just going and looking at all like the
Yeah.
Nike products. So that was awesome. I remember that.
So then, if you had to just pick one to go back and like relive, are you doing the All American through Under Armour, or are you doing Nike Open?
Ooh, this is a hard one. Because I don't want to say the wrong thing, and then
You get
maybe
one of them wants to sponsor you in 4 years, and then they're like,
exactly. Man,
yeah, it's smart.
I don't want this. I don't want this to come back and bite me in
All right,
the behind. So
don't answer it then.
I'm gonna say this: they were both amazing events. Both of them had very high points that I loved about each one of them, and I love both of their products. So I love Nike. I love Under Armour. That's what I have to say. Even though my high school was Adidas, and those were
Yeah.
the smallest jerseys I've ever worn in my life. But that's besides the point. So yeah,
The Adidas Tech Fit, man, they are tough. I never had to wear one, but some of the teams that we played against, you'd see them, and they could look cool, but on some guys with some shoulder pads, the way like how tight they fit,
mm-hmm.
especially on big guys, man, they're just like
Yeah.
They're not
So
very flattering.
I think my jersey in high school, like we got like a new one like after my sophomore year. Yeah, my sophomore year. So we had like the newer Adidas jerseys, junior, senior.
Yeah.
But uh, the biggest size they had was like I think it was a single X or a double X. But the crazy thing is I had 3X pads to where you would, so you have like me in high school whenever I was just a lot bigger than I am now, like weight wise,
Yeah.
and then trying to put on like a single or a double X jersey over 3X pads. And like in the middle of the game, it would just keep on rising up and
Yeah.
like rolling back up to where I eventually like took some of like the big man swag in the NFL, like how you see Trent Williams wear, like whenever he wears the like the loose baggy like undershirt to like
Yeah.
it can just so I took that like from him and I was always wearing that because I never had the problem again. I would just leave it up there. I'm like, yeah, like there's no way it's gonna stay up the whole game.
Yeah.
So yeah, Adidas was definitely not my favorite jersey to wear.
Yeah. It's tricky. So then, moving into, college a little bit after you do the open and stuff, what made you choose to go out of state and, pick LSU?
Well, picking LSU really was for me. It was coming back to my like my blood, because over half of my family actually lives in Louisiana, and I'm originated from Louisiana. So, and I find myself being more of a Louisianan than a Texan, So, even though I love Houston, I love Texas, I love like all like the barbecue from Texas and all that stuff, and like the rodeo. I went to like once or twice, and they got like Six Flags and stuff like all like the tourist attractions though. But I love. There's just something about Louisiana and like the hospitality and like the food down here. Like food and balls basically had me like sold with a little pepper jack cheese in the middle. So then, but no, it was just basically like coming back home to where like I really didn't have that tough of a choice, even though I had like a top list of schools. But at the very end of the day, it really wasn't that hard of a actual like end game of a choice to where it was easy just to make the decision to where I just wanted to come back and wear purple and gold and get out of the color maroon because that's what my high school was. So
I was gonna say the one thing I've always really wanted to try is a crawfish boil.
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
But that's up there for me.
That's a culture down here. That's you can't not go a couple like especially during crawfish season. Like this year, all the crawfish were huge, like almost the size of my hand, like little baby lobsters. So like this
when
year
is
was
crawfish season?
Crawfish season. Oh, I should know this. I think crawfish season just. Let me see. I have it in my calendar. It starts. It's like during March, April, and May are like the top season.
Okay, so spring.
Even though it starts in January, it starts at like the end of February, like close to March, and then it runs all the way towards like the end of July, and then it just that's like the best. That's like the real season of it. So yeah, crawfish. Have you said you haven't experienced a crawfish boil yet?
Never.
Oh,
never.
Where are you from? You from up north, I assume.
Yeah. So I'm from Canada in Alberta, Calgary.
Okay.
There is one place in town that does a crawfish boil that you can buy, but it's crazy expensive. It's my brother bought it once, and for like I don't know how much it normally costs you guys to do. I'm assuming it wasn't as much as this because this was like $30 a person. It was
a person.
Yeah, man. It was.
Well, it just depends on like how much like it goes. Well, with that it goes into like how like much they're charging like per pound and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But I
Yeah,
get
but
it.
$30
It's
for
not from here. They have to fly it in or however they get it here. So I get it,
yeah.
but it's like
Well,
it's a lot of money.
they probably gotta pay like an arm and a leg to get it to where if they have to get any like profit off of it, they
Exactly.
probably gotta do a little bit higher like pricing just to get a little bit more of a profit. Where yeah, especially you have to do that. You have to get the right seasoning for it. Like, you can't just I can see why it'd be $30 then. If you
Yeah.
really like do it. I would never pay $30 though. I'm just happy I live in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Everything. They got like little food stands like they just haul on the back of trucks.
Yeah.
They little trailers, and then they just set those up in like parking lots. And you can go, you'll find like 5 or 6 of them in Baton Rouge within like about 10 to 15 minute like drive, and they're all like maybe like about 3 to 4 miles away from each other. So it's like you almost see more crawfish places than gas stations during the season. So
Jeez. I could see it though. I could see it. Okay. I usually leave food till the end, so I kind of want to get back on track a little bit.
I
We'll
got
go
you.
back to food though, because we got some stuff to talk about. But I kind of want to talk about, the last 2 years at LSU have been some really low lows and some crazy high highs, especially last year
Right.
winning the national championship. How did that season before, contribute to where you had that loss to Alabama that kind of derailed the year for you guys?
Right.
So, take me through everything that happened from losing to Alabama and it kind of being the nail in the coffin for, national championship contention that season, all the way
Yeah.
to next year actually, winning it all.
Well, I mean, it was like every year is like every team's gonna have like a year to where they like every championship team. If you look back on like the history, like they always have a year that like helps them like build as a team and stuff, and like that overall like boost their confidence, like just gives them something to fight for the next year. Like, and they like so failure, like they say, failure always leads to success in the majority of the cases. To where dealing with that Bama game, like we just didn't go in and like with the same intensity and the same. And honestly, was just like not the same intensity and like I guess like dealing with that game is just the fact that it hurt us like so deep is whenever
Mm-hmm.
we lost. I don't even want to say the score, but we lost like that bad whenever it was like a home game.
Yeah.
So it kind of like we owed it, and like it's been a little while since we have beaten them, like facing like saying the facts. So it kind of like meant a lot to just the state to whenever we did beat Bama this past year, because like I feel like if you really look at it, like beating Bama was like our first real like they you would have swore like everyone like when we flew in, you had everyone like outside of the airport like cheering for us and stuff and with the signs, and it was like the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because when you're flying in this past season, when you're flying in, you see there's all these flashing lights and like they're recording the plane like landing down. And then as soon as they open up the door, you can just hear the screams, and they're on the other side of the tarmac. So, like just dealing with the season prior to the championship season really was us like finding our identity as a team,
Yeah.
and just being able like to have something to look back on. Like we finished out the season strong, besides us being basically screwed over the A&M game, and that was by far the longest game I've ever had to play in. But like you have all these things that like Coach O told us like the very beginning of the season, we could have made it to the actual like had a chance to make it to the playoffs and to the national championship the prior year. But if you really look back at it and all the games that we lost, it's really 2 or 3 plays that really defined the end of our season to where we didn't make it to the playoff.
Hmm.
And like that's one thing that he really like hammered down and like really like emphasized to where like no plays off, and like to where we're not leaving anything to change. Just going to keep on playing one game at a time, not letting that one play, like really like not letting those one or two bad plays that we had the prior season, like come back and bite us to where we're going
Right.
to finish every game to where, and then really a lot of people say this past season is when we beat Bama is like when everyone like were like, oh, like this is going to be the season, this is going to be the year. But in my eyes, and then our whole offensive line like group, our eyes were like when we saw it when we played Florida the prior year when we played in the swamp. It wasn't our best like offensive line like stats with like a couple sacks, couple pressures, and then we ended up losing. And with the game coming up, like Coach Craig, our offensive line coach, great coach. And I remember the first time he did it started into a little tradition after he did it. So he had the stats on like on a little piece of paper that he printed out. And he taped it to every single offensive lineman's like locker of all the stats of the prior year, like starting the Monday before we played Florida. And us going in Florida, and we at the end of the game, they said we might have like one hurry up for the QB for Joe. And then us like going into that game and playing it the way we did, that really like gave us like a real like life understanding of like what we have here, like what we could like accomplish. Yeah. And then you go and you of course we play Auburn. Auburn's always every year I played Auburn, it's always been a long game. And then because Cole Tracy hit that game-winning field goal, and then this year I think we only won by like 3 or 4 points, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. And the crazy thing is a lot of people don't know, like I said about the A&M game. So the A&M game of offense was the one with the 7 overtimes. That one was about 100-plus plays of offense. And usually you only average about like 60, maybe sometimes 75. And then and we were watching film for the Auburn game, and we're looking at our film sheets and stuff. And it keeps on, we get the 80, I'm like, damn. And then it gets to 90. And I look and I flip to the end of our film sheet where I had all our grades. And I think it had like maybe 2 or 3 more plays than the A&M game. And I'm like, and we didn't even go over regulation time. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I could tell this one was a long one. It's almost as bad as watching. It was like the game was almost as long as watching the Avengers Endgame. So it was a long one. But then after Auburn, of course we played Bama. We went there. It was a great victory for the team. Great victory for Coach O. Great victory for the state of Louisiana. Because like everyone in the state of Louisiana deserves it. Like everybody that's been working so hard and stuff, and like we've been like representing the state for so long, like just to win it for the state and like bring home the W after that. So that was awesome. And then being able to beat Georgia for the second time in a row whenever they came here and they played us, and then like after beating them and then going on, like after the first half when we played Oklahoma was kind of like crazy, because I really wouldn't. Because sometimes whenever like the O-line, we get into like a little mode to where like most of the time we don't look at the scoreboard until like we jogging at halftime or stuff, and we're looking and we're like, oh damn, like, and we were like, and we were looking up like, oh okay, and then the crazy part, like the crazy part about this season when we actually drove to New Orleans from Baton Rouge. So the route that we went, they had little like spots to where like you could like have little areas to where cars could park on the side of the road, and you just see like 4 or 5 cars on each little spot, like all the way from Baton Rouge to New Orleans. You have LSU fans every single way, like just cheering us on, like at all like little pit stops, gas stations. And honestly was like the coolest experience I've had to deal with, because like dealing with me, I really never went to state in high school.
Yeah.
So being able like to go to that championship game, like in like the last real, I would say championship game that I went to was the Super Bowl in Little League. So and then so like that being like the championship game and like experiencing all that when we pull up to the hotel. When I tell you when we went to go eat, when we went to a walkthrough, a little team event, it was the entire street was packed, regardless if it was like 8 o'clock in the morning going to practice. Like anywhere we went,
Yeah.
you saw like it was not like they would open like the little electric doors and the place would go like crazy. And like we would look like, damn, it's 8 o'clock. It's only a Thursday. We got a couple more days to the game, and they would be there. Then when we came back, there when we left again, and they were there the whole time. Like, holy crap! I'm like every time I walk out, I think we're going to Tiger Walk. And then we're just going to practice. But no, when we played in that championship game, when you have like all the alumni there, you're playing in our backyard in New Orleans. We're playing in Louisiana for the national title for Louisiana. So it was really like, if there was ever like to be like the movie Friday Night Lights or like all those football movies, like it seemed like a movie to where like everything was falling into place. Like it was like written like you would hear like you were just reading a movie or like reading a book, to where it was just awesome. Like right when we ran out, you knew that like that energy was crazy. They brought the energy from Tiger Stadium, and Tiger Stadium's energy is so hard to match. That's the main reason why I really did come to LSU, because I never went to LSU game until I went to, it was LSU versus A&M, and that game atmosphere was like so electric, and it was amazing. But for them to bring that and like just power New Orleans, the Superdome and stuff, like I really feel like our fans and like the whole state of Louisiana were like truly, we had the power of the entire state. So to where I know at the end of the day when we were running out there that we're not going to be denied. So this is probably like this was what was my favorite season to be a part of, and I just can't wait for this season. Like I made the point earlier, like failure leads to success, and also the taste of success also leads to success as well. So whenever you're able to, when you're able to like actually do something and like achieve it, you know what you gotta do. Like it's basically when you're making something with a recipe. Like I'm sorry, me being a big guy, I gotta make food. It's the easiest analogy to use, like using the recipe and stuff, and like when you know what ingredients to put into it, you're gonna know at the end of the day like what you gotta do to get back to that same result. So
So then, what goes into it after you have the national championship? It's over, you win. Is it everyone take a couple weeks off, or is it we're getting back into the weight room? What's the situation like, making sure you stay hungry for the next year?
Yeah, we actually, I think we had like a week and a half off, because when we came back, that's when we went to the White House and all,
right?
Like, the whole White House experience, which was really, really fun. But we really had like a week and a half to 2 weeks off, to where we started back workouts and stuff. So did our fourth quarter conditioning program, which is always fun. And we did our we attempted to do spring football. We had 3 days of spring, which like literally Coach O came into the meeting room like right before our last practice. And he was like, we're not gonna go anywhere for he's like, don't have to worry about this coronavirus stuff, and like saying like, oh, don't worry about it. And then right after the meeting, he was telling he's like, oh yeah, he's like, I didn't want to tell y'all before the meeting, but yeah, we gotta be on lockdown for a couple like weeks or months. So like we really only got to be able to like we had 3 days of spring. Then whenever we kind of turned it into a little competition dealing with coronavirus and like being
Right.
quarantined and stuff, we had like little competitions and stuff to where you would send in like your lift. If you got a workout in, like if your lift, you get point for lifting, running, position work, like rehab. You have to like send it in. You have to like record it.
Yeah, I got you.
And then you gotta like take pictures of your meals and stuff like that, to where like you could get a point for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you eat healthy. So kind of like making it a little bit like more of a competitive like manner, to where like you're gonna get guys like with like all guys on the team are competitive, to where like you're gonna want to win.
Mm-hmm.
To where it was fun though. I think like the entire team, we got a lot out of it, because a lot of guys like came back that I saw, like all of them talking about how they feel like in great shape and stuff. And like we still had like our little conditioning test workout to go through, which is always fun. Conditioning tests are always fun. So, but yeah, I feel like the whole like we went right into it after season, but then everything started happening with the pandemic and stuff, to where we actually couldn't like really proceed as much as we could because of like all the limitations we had to go through. So.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. So I do want to talk about, your upcoming draft year and expectations
Right.
for that and stuff. But real quick, I got to ask about Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
Was he a good quarterback to the line? Did he like give you guys the respect you want? And what do you think about him and, moving into the NFL now?
I think it was the best decision for him to go with number 1 overall. Like,
yeah,
he truly deserved it. I wholeheartedly like feel that. And like how you asked, like if he like how he treated the O line, like before, like we had pregame meals, like dinners and stuff, and like he would always like we always like saved a seat for Joe, like
yeah,
and like Joe would always come in there. He like treated us like the whole like we're just a whole family and stuff. And it really shows like how much like how tight knit of a unit we were, and like how he really treated us, like how much respect he gave for us. Whenever a lot of people are gonna know this, whenever he had his Heisman speech,
mm-hmm.
and the first person that he thanks was his O line, and listing all like the start, like all of us. So they're really like, if you were gonna have like just asking like the whole like dealing with like how he respects us and stuff, like that's the easiest like example to give. I mean, the Heisman's the biggest like trophy that any individual can receive, besides a whole team getting a national championship. To where whenever he like that's the first like we're the first group of guys that he actually like notices and like gives credit to, really show like the type of character he has and the type of respect that he has for like the people that like do all the dirty work and make sure that he stays clean. So
mm-hmm.
I really like, and it helped us like even more on like the aspect of a relationship with Joe, because like he was out up in front of millions, people watching, people there at the overall like award ceremony, that the first thing he does is like he thanks the O-line. And like it's just awesome the fact like, and he would joke with us and we would like talk all the time, and like communicating with him really helped whenever it came to the games, to where like if we saw something that he didn't see, he would trust us to make the call and like help him like oh, like look over here, blah blah blah. And then the other way around, if he saw something that we couldn't, we always had that like relationship to where we trust one another. Mm-hmm. To where like it was like a real like it was easy, because you're not gonna like, when you're in such a good relationship with him, with your quarterback and stuff, like it's easy just to him making a call like, oh okay, well, boom, we're gonna go to it, or like him like us pointing something out, like oh okay, boom, we're gonna change the call real quick. So
yeah,
I think like our relationship and he was amazing with Joe, and like I think the NFL's getting one of like the highest character guys that I've ever met. So yeah, I think Joe's an amazing person.
All right, that's all. I just wanted to make sure, because I've known some quarterbacks and stuff, and it's like I just wanted to check up.
I got you.
So going into your draft this year for 2021, it's going to be a little different because who knows how much tape you'll have from your senior year. But what are your expectations like going into your final season and then into your draft?
Talking about like personal goals or
Yeah.
okay, well, first off, I just want to I want to help my team achieve the same achievements as last year, and then being able to go back to back because it is possible.
Yeah.
Like you have Clemson and you have Bama. Like people always say, like, oh, they're gonna make it. They're gonna make it. Like, why can't we be the next? Why can't we be the next powerhouse? Because we have the tools for it. So my number one goal is just to help my team, achieve that again. Just being able to make that run all over again, and help lead the offensive line group since I am one of the old heads, just to help my guys regardless of what they need, if they need help with just to help them and if they need help with protections, they need help with footwork, just to be able to be there for them like D. Lou and Lloyd and how Sadiq and Adrian, everyone was we're so close knit as a group. That's how we had such a great year and how we deserve to get the Joe Moore Award.
Yeah.
And then just being able to bring to continue that culture, and then just keep on going on just being the most aggressive offensive lineman that I can be at the end of the day. And the personal goals, I would love to receive all SEC accolades and stuff like that. And
yeah,
at the end of the day, I just want it to where at the end, whenever it comes draft day, I don't want it to be any doubt in my mind, any doubt in any NFL team's mind, to whenever they don't know what kind of player they're going to get, to where that's what I'm going to let my film talk for this season. Because how our coach said, Coach Craig says, our film is our resume. So at the end of the day, that's going to be what's your selling point. So my overall goal is just to improve my game as much as I can, to try to perfect it. Because at the end of the day, the game always changes. There's always new techniques. There's always new little things to pick up here and there that you can just tweak with your technique. So at the end, for my personal goal is just to, number one, help my team. Number two, to keep the culture going in the room, the O-line room. And then number three is just to have the best season that I can, So.
Yeah. So then, what's your expectations for draft day? Are you thinking you're going top 10, first round? You're just happy to get drafted and get on a team and get going? What are you thinking?
At the end of the day, for me, I want to get drafted.
Yeah.
That's I know some people they want of course I want to be first, second, third round, but just God giving me the opportunity that I do have, and me being I hope that I go at least one of round 1 through 1 through 3, and then at the end of the day, it's an opportunity that you're being able to get, and then if you keep on proving yourself, because there's been people in the past where they got drafted late, and then you look at them now, they're signing multi-million second contract, to where, so that really shows you you can be a first round draft pick, and then you can, of course, you have first round draft picks that they come out and they're going they're balling out and they're showing their true potential, but then you have some that are sleepers and they really peak in the NFL, and then they get those second and third contracts to where you would really never expect it, because they're a 6th round or a 5th round guy, to where really it just deals with your what you make of your opportunity. So with that being said, I just want to get in the door. I just want the door to open to where I can get in, and to where I can keep it open to where I can stay there. So
yeah, and that's it's a good callback. So I had Matt Skura on, I guess, a couple weeks ago at this point, and he went undrafted, signed with the Ravens, got on their practice roster, worked onto a backup role. Story goes down, he goes in, and 2 years later he's on the block for Pro Bowl voting, and then signs a new deal with the Ravens, right? So you
Exactly.
really never know what's going to happen after that draft day, and all I can do is
Exactly.
wish you luck in that way. Um, but if there was one team, no, this might be a similar answer to the whole Nike Under Armour thing. What's the team?
Damn. Uh, I really like. I would love to go to a team in the NFL. That's the easiest way I got to say it, you know. So yeah, I don't know because I'm just worried about wearing purple and gold one more year. So I really don't
Yeah.
like since I've been in college, like I've watched like not as much like NFL, like football. Like I watch like the playoffs and stuff like that, and every now and again, like if I see a game's on, I'm like, oh okay, I'll just click that on real quick. But I do tell you one thing, like one that I know like that'll be a smart investment is where I wouldn't mind going to a team either in Florida or Texas because
taxes.
I don't want the state tax to take away all
man.
at the end of the day. So that's one that'll be my answer. Just because like just off of the state tax, I don't want people to be because I know those state taxes can be crazy, and I already know like whenever even if I go to a non-state tax team, I just found this out like this past like couple months to where if you play like in Baltimore, if you play in damn Seattle, you get those like where you play at the away games, you get the tax for their state.
Really?
And, yeah, I just found that out. I was like, oh damn. I'm like, okay.
I did not know that.
Exactly. See, I didn't know it either until I was talking to one of my teammates that got drafted. He was telling me that. I was like, oh, I'm like, damn. I'm like, I didn't personally know that. And then I started looking. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's what I wanted for sure. Non-tax state.
Like, so if you play in Miami, you go up to Denver or wherever for a game, that game check for the away game gets taxed under Denver state tax.
Right.
Damn.
So like,
yeah, I didn't know that.
For Dallas. So I'm playing for Dallas. I'm playing for Tampa Bay, you know, for Tom Brady, you know. Like, and then we go to Green Bay. You're gonna look, and it's gonna have the you're gonna get the state tax for them, like for. So it's bad. I found that out. I'm like, that's gonna hurt. I didn't know that. That was crazy.
And I've always seen like I watch Colin Cowherd, the Herd, and he talks a ton about taxes and like why guys should sign with certain teams just based on sales tax. But but then it doesn't actually make it. I guess it still makes it worth it to some degree. But if it's only affecting the state or your lack of state tax for only half of the games, then I don't see it weighing as much of a decision if it's not every single game.
Right.
That's
one bet. Yeah, that's
no idea.
That's why I wouldn't mind going to like a non-tax because I know you're gonna have like a couple here and there to where like they're gonna take some tax out, but being able like just to have majority of the games, like all your home games, where you don't get any of it taken out, that's gonna be that would be ideal.
Huh. Damn, that's crazy. Okay, so we're running a little long, but that's honestly okay. I don't care. So I kind of got.
I'm fine with it.
Cool. I got two things I want to talk about real quick. One is going to be I always ask the guys for advice. You know, still being in college, but still a lot of success in college, and going to the next level. What would be your advice to guys even looking to get at the level that you're at right now?
Talk about like for other college athletes, or are you talking about like high school?
Even high school.
Okay. Well, my main thing for me is whenever I learned like, because I had a tough time with like being like I had a tough time like thinking like sometimes the world was out to get me and like stuff like that, and like when I got into college, like I really like opened my eyes to where like that's not the case. Like guys are gonna like the coaches aren't gonna Like the coaches are there to help you like achieve your potential, like to be like to buy in to listen like to all like the technique they're gonna do. Because if they're not there to actually help you, then they're not gonna be there for long. You know, because they go off of what the coaches produce. Because if the coaches produce like bad athletes or something, they're gonna get fired. They're gonna get kicked off. They're gonna find someone new to replace them. You know, but my main thing, like with me, is be like my main thing. What I tell people when they ask me, like, be your own like worst critic in a sense. You know, never like the most. Whenever I used to work out in Houston, I would like worked out with a couple old bodybuilders and stuff, and like strong men and stuff, and like old like NFL players. And they said the most like the worst word you can use to like the worst word an athlete can use is comfortable and content and like satisfied, like those. Yeah. Because you never want to be satisfied as an athlete, because you always want to push yourself, and you always want to like make sure like you're critiquing yourself to where there's not going to be like you're going to keep on improving. And when you're satisfied, you kind of like subside, and like the moment when you're satisfied and like you start lacking a little bit, that's whenever something comes up and just bites you in the ass, like comes, and like that's when you get your spot taken, like the easiest way. So being your own worst critic, never being satisfied, and just like listening to like the guys that have been there and like know like what it takes, like being coachable. Like that's my 3 main points, you know. Yeah. And like another talking about the game sense is just playing for the thing that you believe in, like playing for your reasons why, you know. So that's my main thing. Like for me, whenever I play, like I always put my grandfather like passed away, like I always put his name on like my wrist tape and stuff. And I got a couple other people that I played for as well, like some of my best friends and stuff. And like I play for my girl, you know, because I've been with her for about 3 years, almost 3 years now. So we're like, you find people that like you put in your mind that you would never let something bad happen to. Kind of like in the movie The Blind Side.
I got you. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But like going like using that as motivation and stuff, like I said, the prior 3 things, just never being satisfied, being your own worst critic, and just listening to the coaches and like being coachable. So that's like the top 3, like for being like being the most successful lineman you can be, being the most successful person and athlete at the end of the day.
Awesome. All right, last one. What you got to have one meal for the rest of your life? What's that meal?
I'll give you the healthy version, and I'll give you an unhealthy.
All right.
Do that?
Let's do it.
Okay. I'll probably do something like I love like boudin balls, but that'll be my all-time snack. I'll say fried shrimp, like some type of surf and turf, like fried shrimp and a porterhouse steak or something. Like my number meal. Like I could eat fried shrimp and a porterhouse or something. But then my healthy one is I would say I just cooked this up like the past month because my girl watches like all like food TikTok and like all the new like healthy kicks and stuff. Yeah. And tried it. It was like the most, and I hate cauliflower. Like I look at cauliflower at the store, I almost throw up, you know. Yeah. But like she oven baked it, and like it was like buffalo, like it tastes like a buffalo wing, but it was cauliflower. And then it was like chicken schnitzel, which is like a healthy fried chicken. And like then with panko breadcrumbs and all that. That stuff was good. Like that's probably like my number one cheat. Like that's my number one healthy meal. Yeah. Then big boy meal, I would say, surf and turf, or my high school favorite would have been pizza rolls. I was a big pizza roll guy. I love
What did you say that snack was? Buddha balls?
boudin balls.
Boudin balls?
Yeah.
What is
So
that?
basically, boudin balls is a you know what rice dressing is, or like dressing and stuff like that, or like
Yeah.
dirty rice. People say dirty rice. So it's that, but they make it into a ball, and then they put like they cake it and like they make it into a ball, and then they put it in the fryer. And then
Yeah.
sometimes they got a place down here, like Lafayette, Lake Charles area. They got one called Rabidos, and they put like pepper jack cheese in the middle, and that like
Okay,
yeah,
so have
it's
you ever heard
delicious.
of arancina?
I think so.
Yeah,
I
so that's
believe.
like that's the Italian version where it's they take risotto, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do again the same thing you're talking about. They make a ball. In the middle of that ball, they'll put like either ham and cheese or they'll put like ragu sometimes, like like
Yeah.
a minced beef
Oh
ragu or
yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
You know, cover it in egg and flour and stuff, and then deep fry it into like these balls. They're amazing. So I know what you're talking about.
They got those down here. Like they have like little meat pies, like empanadas and stuff.
Yeah, man.
Like, and then they got like the crawfish version, and those are good. Those are real good. They make crawfish like etouffee versions.
Yeah.
They're like they put them inside the little meat pie stuff. So those are good.
Damn.
Yeah, that's one thing. If you're not working out, you just eating all the food down here, you're gonna end up being built like a boudin ball
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Awesome. So I think we're pretty much out of time here, Austin. But again, thanks a ton for thanks a ton for coming on. I really appreciate it. I wish you all the best of luck in hopefully
I
this
appreciate
upcoming
it.
year. And guys, watch out for him on draft day. We'll be supporting wherever you go. Is there anything quickly you want to plug? Anything you want to say before we kind of sign off here?
Yes. Speaking about the whole stuff that's been happening with George Floyd and stuff, like the police brutality stuff, and I just want to say that like dealing with that, like I do disagree with all the actions that cop like did. Like none of it's right, and like if anyone was like raised to like the right way, they all gonna see regardless of what happened. Like that's not right. And
Right.
like the one thing I love about my team, and the one thing like I truly harp on, like me personally, is like I don't see color at all. Like
Yeah.
my best friend Ed Ingram, like, and then and you would think like some people like are just so like heartfelt about it. Like I personally, it like affects me as well, because like I just feel bad at the end of the day, because what happened was totally wrong. Police
Right.
brutality is not like correct at all, because you have some people like you do have good cops here in the world, but then you always have that bad egg that it only takes one, like, pardon my language, it only takes one shithead just to like ruin it for everyone,
Yeah.
And like what happened was completely wrong, and I stand by my opinion. Like at the end of the day, I do support like the whole like anti-police brutality and stuff, because like at the end of the day, nobody's life should be taken, and at the end of the day, none of those like actions should be overall like be happening. So
Right. Awesome. Yeah, and I completely agree. I think especially people that grew up in sports, there's a lot of diversity. So I think most people in the sports world hold the exact same opinion, and I'm with you on that as well. So, thank you for sharing that. And
no
yeah,
problem.
like I said, have a great year. We'll be watching, and wish you all the best of luck, especially come
I
draft day
appreciate it.
next year.
Yes, sir. And just another thing for coronavirus is please everybody wash your hands and don't cough in nobody's face, so we can have a football season, and then everything can go almost back to normal as normal can get.
Yeah,
So I appreciate it.
awesome. All right,
All
thanks,
right.
Austin. Have a great day,
No
man.
problem. All right, you too.